Ptolemy, reputed to be the bastard half-brother of Alexander, had refused to attend, thus signalling that he considered himself independent. The empire had already started to disintegrate. Antipatros too had died, grieving for his young son, Iollas, killed in a skirmish with Eumenes, leaving Antigonos untrammeled to make his claim for empire. A claim that Seleucus had supported, albeit reluctantly, for he could not bring himself to join with Eumenes and take orders from a Greek. But Eumenes had resisted Antigonos to the last in the name of both the kings, and then solely for the young son once Alexander's mother Olympias had murdered the fool. And now Eumenes was dead, defeated in battle and then executed by Antigonos, the satrap of Phrygia whom Alexander had left behind to complete the conquest of Anatolia as he marched on south and then east to steal an empire. But the man who had been almost forgotten by all, as Alexander had led his army in glory to Egypt, Persis, Media, Bactria, and even to India, only to die in Babylon after 10 years of conquest, had emerged from obscurity to become the main power now within the convulsing empire. Having, with his men, ships and gold, helped Cassandros, Antipatris' elder son, to install himself as ruler of Macedon, he had chased Eumenes east, and there, at the battles of Paratokene and Gabine, the issue had been decided. Although Seleucus was technically on the winning side, he was uneasy, for he had Babylon, and he wished to keep it, but he suspected that Antigonos would take it from him and would use his failure at Susa as an excuse to do so. Having no army of his own, he would be unable to prevent it. He turned back to his spy, who, although not small, was a head shorter than Seleucus. "Where is Antigonos now?" "His army is at Espadana in Paratokene. He went back to Media to have the treasury at Ecbatana emptied." "Has he left Pathon as the satrap of Media?" "Yes." "Then it was wise to take the money from the treasury to prevent Pathon having another go at rebelling." "Yes. Now he's secured the treasury, Antigonos will soon be heading south from Aspadana with an army of 60,000. He signed on most of Eumenes' men. He should be in Persepolis in under a moon." The man, in his mid-30s and unshaven, and unkempt from a month on the road, took a deep breath. "Antigonos also executed Eudamus, burned his body in a fire pit, and then threw Antigenes in alive." Seleucus gaped in alarm at the spy. "Alive?" "Yes, sir. I witnessed it. He did not die well." "I'm sure he didn't." "What did he do with Teutamus, the joint commander of the Silver Shields?" "It was him who organized the exchange. Eumenes for the Silver Shields baggage that had been captured during the battle." "And so Teutamus bought his life with that of his comrade, did he?" "It seems so. He's now commanding Antigonos' phalanx, along with Python, another of Eumenes' officers who was a part of his betrayal." "It was to be expected. Eumenes' Macedonian officers going against the sly little Greek in the end." "How did Antigonos kill Eudamus?" "Beheaded him." "Well, at least he gave one fellow satrap the decency of a clean death. But burning Antigenes, Alexander's appointment as commander of the Silver Shields, alive, is unforgivable." "It's abundantly clear that Antigonos is not of a forgiving nature. I think I made a tactical mistake accusing him of dishonorable behavior." And that was the crux of Seleucus's problem. He had objected to the way that Antigonos had tried to deceive Eumenes, tricking him into a position whereby he could massacre his entire army. Eumenes had not fallen for it, but for his temerity, Seleucus had been sent back to Susa to be made a laughingstock. He handed the spy a weighty purse, dismissing him with thanks before turning to the only other person in the room, sitting in shadows at the far end, on a large divan surrounded by cushions. "Well, Apama, what do we do?" His wife, recently arrived from Babylon, now that the roads were opening up again after the winter, tapped the cushions next to her. "Come and sit down, my love. This will need a lot of thought." It was with exhausted bodies but clear heads that Seleucus and Apama, curled around each other, bathed in sweat, began to put some thought into the problem a good time later. "If Antigonos is going to be in Persepolis within the month, then he could be here soon after the spring equinox," Apama said, stroking her husband's barrel chest, a major part of a physique that could be a model for a statue of Heracles. "If I understand the military position correctly, there is no way Susa could have fallen by then."